Some of my parliamentary colleagues are here. They're very shy, modest people, so I'm not going to draw attention to them, but they're here, and these shy, modest people feel about as good about this as I do. So, but I want to start with a statistic that I think has troubled me and I think troubles you, which is that at the last federal election, of all the first-time voters who could vote, who turned 18 and could vote in October 2008, only 1 in 5 of those people actually turned out. And if you look over 50 years, in 1960, something like 80% of the Canadian population participated in federal elections, and now the number's below 60%. So Canada, we have a problem. We have a problem about engagement with the political system. And what's great about this room is you're here because you are engaged. We've got to think about all the people who are not in the room, who are not engaged, who are not involved. I've got responsibilities as a political leader to do something about that. And you've got responsibilities. Your responsibility is basically, it's your country. If you've had the privilege and opportunity of university education, as pretty well everybody in this room has done, then you've got an obligation to your country to put back, to be involved, to be committed, to be engaged. And then I've got a responsibility as a political leader to give you something to believe in. That's how it works. It's a double responsibility. And I've got to work with my parliamentary colleagues to give you a vision of the country that you can debate, you can argue, you can feel something about. That's what I can do to get those participation numbers up, to get people feeling, yeah, this is my country, this guy, this team's got a vision, they've got a vision, let's have a debate. And when that starts to happen, then the participation numbers begin to come up, because it's really about Canada and what we feel about it and what we believe about it. Let me give you a sense, and I'm not here to spend the afternoon talking to you, I'm actually here to listen, and in about 2 minutes I'm going to stop and then we're going to go to the mics. But when I think about the challenges the country faces and the new world we're in, here's what I think. We're not just in a recession. We're in a restructuring of the global economy. And that changes everything for you. Some of the jobs we've lost don't come back. That's what a restructuring means. And we're in a new world. And it's hard to put our fingers around that world and get a sense of it, but here are a few ideas that I have about what makes the world new. First of all, carbon has a price. We've all discovered you can't use the atmosphere as a garbage dump, because if you do, it'll have catastrophic effects on our climate. So carbon has a price. Governments have to set a carbon price, whether it's cap and trade or carbon tax or whatever. We think cap and trade will be the way to go. But whatever we do, our economic future will be defined by a price on carbon. Second constraint, which we don't talk about very much, but it's important for Canada, is that energy's going to be more and more expensive. We're an energy superpower, but energy is going to cost more. The long-term trends are clear. That means we have to become energy efficient, energy conservers, developers of new forms of energy. Tidal in Nova Scotia, just to take one example. The other constraint that's going to be very important is that the dollar, the Canadian dollar, is going to be high. We spent 40, 50 years building a manufacturing sector on a cheap dollar. Well, as you know, in life, no good deed goes unpunished. And so the fact that we've done pretty well as an economy and our fiscal fundamentals, thanks to liberal governments, are pretty good. You notice that little party political thing here. Because our fiscal fundamentals, the ones inherited by this government, which they haven't done such a good job with, because those fiscal fundamentals are good, the dollar is going to be high. That means that some of the advantages we have with a cheap dollar are gone. Another part of the new world we're facing is that we used to have the advantage of living next door to the most dynamic market in the world, the United States, and now the most dynamic markets in the world are China, India. So it's a different world. That advantage we have of being just next door to the States. The 21st century, and I love the United States, I don't care who knows it, but the 21st century may not belong to the United States the way the 20th century did. That has huge implications for where Canada looks for market advantage and growth and jobs and ideas. Another thing that, two other points and then I'll stop, which define our time. One of them is we're a country that's built its wealth on natural resources, and we're all aware now that it's intellectual property that matters. Intellectual property is the key driver of success and economic development. The biggest resource in this country is between your ears. And that's why education becomes the key to everything. That's why I'm doing a cross-country tour. Because if we don't get education right, nothing else we do is going to matter, right? We've got to get the resource between your ears firing at maximum effect. The final thing, which is specific to your generation, is our population is aging. In 1967, the median age in Canada was about 25, 26. Now the median age is rapidly approaching 40. That means that as you come out and shoulder the burdens of leadership, and you are going to be the leaders tomorrow, one of the challenges you'll face is how do we pay for the healthcare costs, the pension, the retirement costs of your mom and dad, your grandmother and grandfather. It's all coming down to making sure that you have a productive, innovative, well-educated economy that can sustain the social fabric that connects generation to generation. So these are some of the challenges that I see. I've got solutions for some of them, but I haven't got solutions for others. This is not solution time, but I hope in the end of the hour we'll get further. Carbon has a price. The dollar is expensive. The markets are in India and China. The population is aging. Brain power is what matters. Those are some of the elements of what I see creating the challenges, the opportunities, the future. And I put that out on the table so we frame the conversation about the kind of Canada we want. One of the dates or rendezvous of destiny that we have comes in 2017. 2017 will be the 150th anniversary of our federation.
Federal Liberal leader Michael Ignatieff has begun a speaking tour of Canadian universities. This is his first day. He is in Nova Scotia today, speaking just now, as you've been listening, at Dalhousie University, and he was urging students to get involved in politics, at least to vote. And he also emphasized how much the world has changed in recent years, how the dollar has grown, the U.S. marketplace has fallen off, how Canada can no longer expect to maintain a great economy based on commodities.